to the Hallmarkies podcast, and we're really excited today. We have one of our faves here on the podcast today. We're talking with Kathryn Davis, and this is so exciting. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Anna's here.
Hey, everybody.
Yes. And Kathryn, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much for having me again. It's lovely to reconnect. I can't believe it's a year ago I first spoke with you, and it's lovely to meet Anna as well. Sort of
so nice to meet you.
Yes.
Sort of world that we live in these days.
Yeah, it feels like we've had you on more than just the one time with Olivia, which we'll put a link down if people haven't listened to that.
Yeah,
because we have kind of kept in touch this whole year, which has been fun.
Yeah, throughout, like along, like when I'm working on a production, like sometimes I'll do just like daily pictures, like not giving too much away generally, because they usually they're pretty mute productions in terms of giving out storyline and so forth. But I think you caught on pretty quickly that Ollie and I were working together again. So I was like, okay. And then, yeah, I really appreciate that you guys have touched base with me throughout the year, and your support. It means the world to me. It really does. Very humbling. And I'm so grateful for it.
Wow, it's been really fun. Yeah, we'll see something. Anna and I will see something. We're like, ooh.
We're so excited. What is it? Where is it going to be? Who's it going to be with? You know, what's the story going to be? We get excited by your posts.
Little crumbs I give, right? Leave little crumbs and everything. But no, it was funny. When the role was coming up in February, I got it on my birthday actually, which was a really lovely surprise. And my agent was like, happy birthday, here's an offer for you, let me know if you want to do it. And I was like, oh. And then I'd said yes. I was reading through the script, and suddenly my phone bings, and Ollie had reached out to me, and he's like, are you doing Planes, Trains, and Christmas Trees? And I'm like, are you playing Brett? And so it was so nice to know that this was my first lead with a new company. I'd worked with them before, but usually in kind of more supportive roles. So it was so nice to know that I already had a familiar face going in day one. You know, we were going to be reunited after the holidays and stuff. So that was really great.
Yeah. How do you feel about being like the Queen of Christmas lately?
It's kind of surreal in a way, because they're filmed like throughout the year. Yeah. And all of a sudden it was like, I'm almost invasive on everyone. Like all my friends knew that I was working, but of course they, you know, when they start launching on like Lifetime or City TV, it's sort of, there was this one, I'm very blessed. I just finished a production 3 days ago, and I was in Ottawa, the capital of Canada, filming. And it was like the day I arrived, 6 Degrees of Santa aired. A week after, like 3 days into production, Planes, Trains, Christmas Trees aired. And then now it's coming out with Santa's Got Style this Friday. So it's strange, because you've done all of the work. Like I did the ADR at the end of the summer, things like that. So it feels kind of beyond your control, especially when it's the American, you know, releases of everything. You're just sort of like, okay, because I can't watch it here. Like I don't have the channels unless I get a screener version sent to me. So it's funny. It's kind of, you feel almost detached from it. And then when you start to hear feedback from people, you're like, oh yeah, I really am like invading Christmas. But then it gets fed up with me. I'm so, beyond grateful for the opportunities that different production companies continue to put in me, and the trust, and then your support, like you guys. I'm very lucky, very, very lucky.
Well, so we had last year, you had Christmas on Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
Which we loved so much. It was so good.
Oh.
I mean, I honestly feel like it is one of the best of these like made for TV Christmas movies.
That's so sweet.
I've ever seen.
So much. My I have a job sometimes in between acting stuff, and my boss for that just saw it, and she was like, it was my favorite Christmas movie. I'm like, oh my God, like my boss watched it, kind of thing. So I'm really glad with how everything worked out with that. I think it was a very special production on a multitude of levels, like my first lead role, and the fact that it was received so well. I think it goes to show that the production that we all pulled together to put forward a really great finished product, you know. And Brainpower Studios has continued to give me amazing opportunities to work with them, and they fostered me up since 2018. I was first kind of flagged by them in an audition, and they've just given me roles that I built up over time until the first lead I was trusted with, which was Christmas on Fit, in the role of Eva. So
I can't believe that was your first lead role. It just, when you watch the movie, you would just never know. You just seem so comfortable and so much amazing, pure, beautiful energy. And it's amazing. Wow.
Thank you. I couldn't have done it without the support of the people around me. Like day one, I was really nervous. And I had the support of Randy Thomas and Tondra Richardson, who play my parents in it. They just were like, this is your turn. Like, you're the number one, do it. And I remember having a pep talk with my brother on the first day. He's like, just get out of your head, just do the work, just be there, just be present, show, give options, give choices. And then, of course, working with Olivier, I did it. We started working together a few weeks before via Zoom, because that's how we had to roll in that time. And it was really great to establish that trust and confidence and connection with each other before we went to camera, because then it was just felt easier every day. And of course, you've got the amazing support system of a crew that I have grown up with alongside and worked with, and you get to see them growing up through positions as well. They might start as a camera assistant and then they end up as a DOP at the end of it, sort of thing. So it's, again, such a wonderful thing that Brainpower does, is that they're a family that just foster talent up through.
Well, and I think it also just helped that it has such good bones. Like the book, of course, after I saw the movie, I read the book, Sarah Morgan, and it's great. It's really good. And they did such a good job of kind of translating that to the script.
I remember chatting with the executive producer, Beth Stevenson, on one of the days. I bought the book as soon as I got the role. I bought the book. And I actually never got the chance to read the book before we went to production, because I told Beth, I think I was in my tests, like my hair fittings and costume fittings and hair tests. And I said to her, I bought the book. And she's like, oh, it's a bit raunchier than what we're going with. And I was like,
it is spicier. It's true.
Then, throughout production, Olivier would take my copy, because I'd have it in my bag with me. And he'd take my copy, and we started to try and take pictures of each other throughout the production, like him engrossed in this book. And I never got to see the pictures in the end, but he'd be in his trailer and I would be in the window kind of going like overlooking him and stuff like that. So we just had this running joke throughout the production that we got caught red-handed reading raunchy material. But I think it translates well to the script and then to the screen as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. And because Eva's just such an endearing character in the books and in the movie. And I think that goes a long way. You want her to be happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
You root for her from the beginning. And I think just almost like Eva's optimism of life aligned with my own as well, in terms of this being the first lead role. And I think just the happiness and joy I had throughout production, it does seep through the lens too. And I spoke to Olivier just a couple weeks ago, actually, and he was very sweet. And he said to me, he's like, you're so happy when you're doing the work and it oozes through the camera. And I'm like, stop it. But it's true. Like, I'm literally, I have to remind myself, like, on set, you've got long days and stuff. And I'm just like, guys, we're making like movie magic. It's romance, it's love, it's human connection. There's no drama kind of thing. It's just, I'm so lucky. Love and unicorns and rainbows.
Well, it is so nice when the right roles find the right actress.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It makes a big difference. It really does. Because you can tell when someone just really embodies and wants to be there and has the energy of the character and is really bringing it. It makes such a big difference. And it definitely comes across in your roles.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I wanted to ask you, how have you managed to get down, packed, and practice such a good American accent? Because I told my mom to watch Christmas on Fifth Avenue, which she really enjoyed. And I was like, yeah, you'd never believe, like, she has, like an English accent. And, when you watch the movie, you'll see you can't even tell at all. I was just wondering, like, kind of what goes into that and how have you managed to make it so good?
Oh, well, thank you. It's growing up in between England and Canada, I grew up surrounded by that accent itself, like a Canadian accent. Just the only thing that I have to be careful on is like, Canadians are known for saying sorry, whereas the Americans, sorry, like kind of thing.
Right.
But I feel that growing up there, but I also work with sound engineers as well on set. And I will happily tell them, like, if you hear an inkling of an accent, flag it for me so that I know to go in and fix it, because vowels tend to be my tricky ones, O's especially, because the English O is shorter to the North American. I think that's what it is. So I usually work with a sound engineer that I'm perfectly happy for them to flag something in between takes. And then I guess I studied a little bit of like accent work and linguistics at theatre school, because I was already kind of coming in with the English accent. So it's not the RP version of it, registered pronunciation, but it's sort of having that English accent background meant that I could kind of jump into regionalities fairly easily. So my challenge was more so to make sure that I had an American accent down, like a very neutral one, before leaving school. Because head of my program told me, she's like, I love your accent. And she's a Croatian lady, Dr. Cynthia Ashberger, amazing woman. And she said, I love your accent, but it's going to be more challenging for work out there in the industry. So I just had it down packed. And then my resume has really been a mixture of being able to use my natural accent and then also going to North American too.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast.
Calling all Pride and Prejudice fans, Lizzie Shane, the award-winning author of the Pine Hollow series, has a brand new small-town romance on the shelves. And this time, it has a Jane Austen twist.
In Pride and Puppies, a Jane Austen fan struggling to find her modern-day Mr. Darcy decides to swear off men and adopt an adorable puppy, only to find herself catching feelings for her sweet, not at all Darcy-esque neighbor.
Lizzie Shane's Pine Hollow series has been called an irresistible blend of heart, humor, and a whole lot of puppy love.
Don't miss Pride and Puppies, available now wherever books are sold.
To learn more, visit www.lizzieshane.com or use our affiliate link in the description.
That's lizzieshane.com.
Oh, that's cool. Well, hopefully one day in these TV movies, we'll get to hear you use your accent, because I think that would be great. So
I think what you need to pitch to them, Kathryn, is that you need to be in a royal movie, because those usually are in England.
Yeah.
Well, I did the Christmas Carousel with Hallmark in 2020, and I got to have my English accent with that.
Oh, you were in that? I forgot you were in that.
And Rachel, oh my gosh, why is her last name escaping
Boston.
me?
Rachel Boston.
Boston. Yeah, sorry, I thought I heard Austin. Yes,
No.
the other American city, Rachel Boston. Yeah. I had my English accent in that one a little bit. It's funny, I'm so used to, because the American accent I often sort of see as being a mask of sort of being able to step aside from me, Kat, and then step on and put this accent on, and it feels like it's a character away from myself. Whenever I go back to English, I always feel kind of a little bit I guess vulnerable in a way, because I'm like, oh, this is me, this is who I am, kind of thing. Yeah. I guess like the detachment I can have with an American accent makes sometimes the work a little easier. So the challenge needs to be a royal Christmas something.
Yes, I think it would. Who wouldn't watch that? I know I would. That's for sure.
Yay.
They could get you and like Will Kemp or someone like that.
Yeah.
That would be great.
That would be good.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So you were filming Planes, Trains, and Christmas Trees when we did our Hallmarkies Podcast Awards, and so it was really fun. You got to film your acceptance speech for Best Non-Hallmark Christmas Movie in your elf outfits for.
Oh yeah, the director was like, "Where are you going?" Because the camera, like moving the cameras around, doing another setup, and we just sort of like snuck out of the big, huge, gorgeous barn that we were working, and we just like filmed it on the fly on the side, be like, "Hello, thank you so much." We're not working out, and I was like, "We've got to do it in elf costumes."
Yeah, it was so fun.
Normal clothing is not going to be enough. So elf costumes, absolutely.
Well, you must have been excited to work with Olivier again, because you both had such great chemistry, and it was so fun talking to you last year.
Oh, thank
Both
you.
of you. Yeah.
I was very excited to work with him again. The challenge on this one is that the director would often have to remind us that our characters had only just met, because we have this kind of, there's just this comfort and familiarity about each other. And we would be, if one of the scenes, if you've seen it, we kind of start to talk to Eli. Eli's just had a conversation with his high school crush, and we're kind of like, oh yeah, like, oh, you got a date kind of thing. And on a couple of the takes, like Ollie and I were just having like these hand kind of like, yeah, boom, to each other. And the director had to be like, you only met yesterday. Right, okay, never mind, because you can see the playfulness of us coming through. And so we had to be reminded at certain points to be like, you don't know each other properly. Like, don't forget, you just met at the airport the day before. I'm like, right, I knew that.
Got it. Yeah.
That's like what the director is supposed to do, is like remind you of the world and the circumstance that you're in.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like there are people that I have just known for a day, and yet that chemistry is just totally there.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that wouldn't be totally believable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can have it on sets. Like sometimes it feels like my first time meeting Tanja Richardson, who's now played my mum twice, and she's also in All Aboard for Love, which I know we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
She is also a mother-like figure to me in that as well. And right from the get-go, it was that we shared a car ride up to set, and we just connected straight away. And I was just texting her a couple of days ago. We go see theatre shows together, we go out for dinner and stuff like that. So yeah, sometimes you just connect. Or Cara Duncan, that played my best friend in Christmas on 5th. I just finished working with her again, and we play sisters. And so that was just, when I knew she was cast, I was literally in my fittings and stuff, and I heard the executive producer go, oh yeah, so we got her, it's Cara Duncan. I'm like, I know her, because that having that familiarity straight away makes the work so much easier. And the trust.
It's interesting what you see. Do you feel like that people aside from us really like took notice of Christmas Fifth Avenue? Like the people making movies and stuff were like, oh, this was a good one.
I think they definitely watch each other's work. I know that it was well received that Up TV further backed more brainpower productions. That's why Santa's Got Style was Up TV. And I remember I was in my hair fittings for that, and the executive producers, I just got off the phone with Channel 5 and they've already bought the movie and we hadn't even filmed it yet. So I think like sometimes when they have that, I guess that reputation of having Christmas on 5th, which is apparently playing in the UK right now. My cousins are all sending me pictures. It's playing a few times on TV at the moment. I think that definitely other production companies see it, and you'll be on the radar for people for a while. Like they definitely watch what each other is producing and kind of take and match and so forth. So
I was just curious, because you never know if it's just like some random thing that I like it or for other people. I don't know. But
I'm so grateful. I think it was well received. Yeah. In the end.
So for Planes, Trains, and Christmas Trees, where was that small town? Where was it?
So it's supposed to be in the movie Redwood, Ohio. No such place. But we actually filmed in Hamilton, which is around the other side of Lake Ontario, west side of Lake Ontario.
Okay.
And it's got a lot of really beautiful like period buildings. And we were also filming on the outskirts of that, and it's called like Hamilton Townships. But it's basically small little towns and villages that kind of get amalgamated into the one area. And it's a little place called Ancaster, another tiny town called Strabane, which is lovely. Like I saw houses, I'm like, I want that house. So yeah, mostly around the Hamilton area to the southwest of Toronto. Not northeast, southwest. Southwest.
Okay, that's cool. I did want to ask you, you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but I wanted to ask, so they do hair tests with you like before these TV Christmas movies, and So what kind of goes into that, and just how do they style your hair when they're doing it? Is it like with curlers, or it's totally natural, or yeah?
So Christmas on 5th was the first time I remember working with her, Taylor and Alex Blades, amazing team together. And I remember going for the fittings because Brain Power Studios generally do makeup and hair fittings along with your costume too. And I remember wanting to have my natural hair on camera because any production I'd done before, it was either straightened or it was sort of heated to make it more wavy. And because I see my hair as being representative of my background, it represents my grandpa, my West Indian heritage, everything. I was like, I want to have the natural curl, and I want to have my freckles show, because I'm like, this is my grandpa, this is my grandpa, kind of thing. So they did ask me, they're like, what do you want? What do you want to have shown? I was like, I want my natural hair. And they did. And the girls did a fabulous job. And it's a mixture of like me pre-preparing to a certain extent, and then using a curling wand perhaps to polish certain things, like little tapered barrel kind of thing. And then not all productions do hair tests. Brain Power does. Other ones, like the departments will reach out to you before you go to set, and they'll be like, one of them said, I saw your hair on Christmas on 5th. I want to do the same. And I'm like, yay. Because I'm like, oh, my choice is always to have my curly hair. And so they'll ask about like, products you use, what your preference is and so forth. But sometimes it's to date, like day one, you arrive and they're kind of like, okay, what are we going to do with this? But yeah, it's a mixture of things. It depends on the time of year as well for my hair and condition, because I'm in need of a haircut. And also like, yeah, products. My hair changes a lot throughout the year. It changes its quality, style, and everything. So it's a mixture of like, yeah, heat, product, patience.
Yeah, definitely patience.
That sometimes gets it to behave itself.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, that was the only thing about Sandra Scott's style that I was like, oh, I like the curly hair better.
Yeah, I remember getting the email a few weeks before we went into production. I was actually in Nova Scotia at the time I was like on a boat watching whales with my dad and my mom's cousin. And I got the email through, and they said, we want to have her hair straight. And I was like, okay, yeah. Whatever you guys want to do, whatever the producers want, of course. I mean, my preference is always curly, but okay. Yeah. And then when I was in my hair test, the team kind of let it leak that they were like, oh yeah, your hair's gonna be straight in this one because on the next one they want it curly. And I was like, pardon? The next one? Day one, before we went into production, I learned that Channel 5 had already bought it, and I already had another role lined up. So I was like,
wow.
Straighten it, let's go.
Well, that's really funny that they like feel they can't repeat hair. Yeah. You can tell them you can repeat hair. It's okay.
Yeah, it was like they said they wanted to just to differentiate me from the character that they had me lined up for afterwards. So I was like, what?
That's funny.
I didn't say anything, and then my agent called me on the way back into the city, and she was like, so I just got off the phone, and I was like, okay, truth be told, like they kind of leaked it to me on set. Yay! But I had another one lined up after. So again, I just count my blessings. Like, yeah. Oh, I've been very, very lucky this year.
So 6 Degrees of Santa, this was on Lifetime.
Yes.
And it was a lot of fun. One of our favorite writers, Shannon Latimer, wrote this one. And I think she did a great job. It was a very clever script.
Mm-hmm. No, it's very smart. It was this fun script to work on because I like the concept of playing two worlds at the same time in a character, that I'm trying to pull a ruse over someone's eyes while I actually know what the truth is too. And so the audience is along for the ride of knowing that Jason Sparks has no clue that I'm leading him off the path. And so it's constantly like you've got two brains functioning, and some of the scenes were, a lot of fun when you've got the undercurrent of truth in there, but you could play in the role of Harper. I could play, I think one of my favorite scenes is when we make our deal officially in the store. And I go, well, what if we can't find Miss Santa number 1? Or we do. And she's like 99 years old, or loathes your very existence. It's like the undertone of that. It's like I can get across that Harper and him have history in terms of my previous job with him. but he doesn't know that I'm pretty much telling him that I hate him in that was fun.
Yeah.
So it was very
fun.
clever script for that. So clever that my dad watched it once and he's like, I don't get it. So I had to watch my movie again. So he understood it more the second time round.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I thought it had kind of a little bit of a Cyrano kind of effect to it, where
absolutely.
you presenting Zoe as Santa number one, and the whole time then you end up kind of falling for him as you're sort of training her to fall in love with him.
Yeah,
it was fun. And I like that they didn't demonize Zoe, like didn't make her a bad character. She was just fun.
Yes. Yeah, Alex Jade, her and I became close on this movie, so it was a lot of fun. I really liked watching her performance. She did a really great job.
She was good.
Yeah.
So I think the most iconic scene in the movie was that roller skating scene. Tell us about that.
Okay, so I dreaded it. I really did. It was day 10 of 14 or 12. I can't remember how many days we shot this over, 14 or 12. And it was inside the City Hall in downtown Hamilton, marble floors, staircases leading off. And I'd done some training before, like I had 2 roller skating lessons that the production had arranged for me. And Steve just was like, easy peasy. He's a professional hockey player, so he just translated from blades to wheels very easily. Whereas for me, it was like helmet, wrist guards, elbow pad, and like knee pads. Like, when you're younger, you have this sense of invincibility. It's like, I'm gonna jump up that rock. Yeah. Oh no. I hit sensibility very quickly. I was like, yeah, if I do that, I could break this, and it takes a while. So for me, the whole time it was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna break something. But when we actually filmed the scene itself, Steve, I just got to hang on to Steve, and he was the one doing all the tricks and stuff. And we actually also kind of integrated into the script that I was like, I won't make fun of your wobbles if you promise not to make fun of mine. And so I think I'd already shot enough for them to know that, yeah, she's pretty wobbly. She looks like Bambi on wheels. So we kind of changed the script a little bit just to be able to get me out of hot water of any reviewers being like, what do you mean? She looked like Bambi kind of thing. So it was great. Steve was amazing, great support for me, but I was pretty nervous, the whole time.
I mean, but I think that adds to it because, it kind of adds like you're hanging on to him, like you literally need to kind of, but it's kind of adds to the coziness and like the sweetness of the scene. I think it worked really well. It was my favorite scene of the movie. It was just
yay!
Yeah, me too.
The switch for the characters of Harper to Jason, like he's putting trust in her, and she still doesn't give him. She still won't trust him. She doesn't give him the benefit of the doubt until sort of this scene when Kat, is relying on Steve, and Harper is relying on Jason. So it's like the transfer of trust, and that's sort of the moment maybe in the scene to follow that when they're lying under the Christmas trees. That's when it's kind of everything gets lifted and her presumptions of him are proved wrong. It's like Pride and Prejudice, pretty much. Like she really, it comes to terms that what he's doing is actually for the benefit of a population that she wasn't aware of.
Yeah, it was just fresh because we've seen the ice skating date so many times in these movies, because usually they're filmed in the summer, and it's an easy way to kind of be winter in the summer is to be in an ice skating rink. But for this to be in the office, to be roller skating, it was creative.
And you guys were alone, so
it
made it like intimate, and it was just a beautiful scene
with a big Christmas tree right there, which you can't have in a rink very easily.
We had a lineup of I think 6 or 7 trees, and the lighting looked great. They really did a wonderful job. The DOP Ryan Knight was fabulous on this production, so they did a really, really great job of making it look festive, but also heartwarming and intimate. But it was beautiful in the end.
Well, and you got to play a mom in this one. Was that your first time playing a mom?
It is not, actually. I've played a mum a couple times. I did some small roles when I was just out of theatre school. So a production I also filmed in Hamilton, ironically, at that city hall as well. And it was a show called Taken. It was like a prequel to the movies Taken. And I played like a young mum in that. And then I also did a small role on the TV show Rain on EW. And I was a mum in that as well. So it's always like a good like little ego brush when you show up on set, and I have had the directors be like, "You look too young to be a mom." I'm like, "I'll take it." Sadly, not biologically. Blah, blah, I can't even pronounce the words. I'm like, technically, I'd be old enough to, but thank you.
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
I mean, I didn't know that Steve Lund was a professional hockey player in a past life, but he's one of our faves. We love him.
Oh, he's so wonderful.
He's great.
He really is. He's so supportive of me. He was down to be playful as well on camera, because we didn't get to work with each other much the first week of production. And so we have like our finale, and like our smooch kiss was like day 4, and I'd barely done any work with him. So it's so funny, the filming process, that it's like, I love you, smooch. Hey, like, good to meet you. Like, we actually build the storyline, along the way.
Sure.
And he was always down to kind of play. And it was really interesting watching like he's so professional that he would, and it's good for me to learn this as well, to just take a moment sometimes and just make the choice that we were doing a scene in the store, and he was doing a line. He was like, nope. And like did the line again. I'm like, no, not feeling that. And so gave 3 reads on this line. And it's reassuring to see when that happens. And I'm like, yes, you have to remember that at the end of the day, as fast as the productions are, you need to take that moment to make sure that the lines that you're doing are, doing justice to the character and to the scene as well. So he was great to work with, great to watch. It's just lovely.
Because usually the head of businesses in these movies are not good people, but you knew he was a good person because it was a Christmas tree business.
Yeah. It's just Harper that just doesn't see it.
Yeah.
And she never even she said she worked for him, that she'd never met him. So she comes in with all these presumptions. It's a lot like Pride and Prejudice, really. I came in with all of these presumptions about him, and then layer by layer, those prejudices get like proved wrong. And then if anyone that hasn't seen it, you'll know how it is. Like, I love you.
Yes.
That kind of thing. So
well, and it was good too, because his Hallmark movie, it was a major downer. Yeah. So we were very grateful for 6 Degrees of Santa.
Good.
He gets kind of dumped in it. Yeah. Which was like,
oh.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's the one that he went on. He was going straight on to Vancouver to work on another one. And I'm wondering
probably
if that was production.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah,
it was an interesting one.
Yeah.
But so we were happy for 6 Degrees of Santa.
Oh, good. Yay.
Yeah.
And then for Santa's Got Style, that was by Brainpower as well, right?
That's correct. Yes. So same people as Christmas on 5th.
So they offered it to you just straight up?
Yeah. So I was very lucky. I had the I've been very fortunate this year. I've done 5 movie projects, and so grateful each one has been an offer. So I'm sort of slightly out of that audition circuit that I was in for 8 years, sort of thing.
Wow. Well, that's well deserved, and we just love that for you, that you can just
I think that's what Ollie and I were together, is that the production saw Christmas on 5th and hired us two in, because it was a direct offer for him as well. And then it's the same company, but they have a lot of different producers running. I think about 2 weeks after I finished Planes, Trains, and Christmas Trees, I had 6 Degrees offer as well. So I was like, oh, and then I realized it was a different producer team, but it, regardless, it just was a huge, yeah, I was just so grateful for the fact that the company Champlain Media was again giving me the opportunity to do another, trusting me with the work and stuff. So
yeah, this movie, Santa's Got Style, it's very fun, different concepts, kind of like, you know, looking for like a more sexy Santa, which is just kind of interesting.
When we first read the summary, we got the giggles bad. We were like,
wait, what?
Your dream Santa.
Yeah, it was, honestly, when they sent it to me, as soon as it said in the title, like Mrs. Doubtfire-esque, I was like, I'm down. Like, I thought that was going to be so fun to watch an actor play the 2 different characters. And the initial script, it was supposed to be prosthetics, and then they just they went with wig and facial hair, and it looked great. And like, Franco did such a wonderful job of really playing like the cool, collected Rafe, and then the dorky can't help but make a fool of himself, Ethan. And it was lovely watching those 2 polarized characters, like, you know, throughout the filming process, but also at the final cut too.
That was really fun, because especially because, you know, I had just been introduced to him in Well Suited for Christmas, where he's very much more suave and like the owner of a company, and you know, confident. And then Ethan is so like insecure, and like you've totally friend zoned him, which we totally don't understand how Madison could friend zone this beautiful man. What do you think she's thinking?
I think very much like the human error that we all can fall into is that the grass is always greener, and you become kind of blinkered at your end goal in perhaps life, and perhaps like if you set yourself yearly goals, you can become so laser focused that you overlook the good things that are around you. And I think that was somewhat the case with Madison, that she's very focused on career. I didn't interpret Madison as looking for a significant other during this production. Like at the beginning, I was like, I don't think so. Like she got out of a bad relationship last year. She's really wants to push herself in terms of her career. She's being challenged by her boss, because she's pretty much put her foot in it by informing them that their sales aren't ample enough in terms of menswear. So they challenge her with this new promotion, and it comes to her mind that it should be a styling Santa.
Well, were you worried at all that this is like, oh, this is going to be too silly?
But like, no, I don't mean that, because when I was working along in the production, like I got it, and Franco just differentiated the characters so sublimely that I was like, this is going to be good. Like we knew. And then of course you get the mixing of other wonderful actors like Lynette Ware, who's just a goddess of the screen. Like, oh my gosh, she's so good. And got to work with Scott Thompson, so he's very famous for Kids in the Hall. So that was crazy that I, you know, had grown up watching his skits, especially Chicken Lady and stuff like that. And then I got to share some screen time with him. That was pretty crazy. And then of course, like Brian Stills as Adam, like
he's so funny. Oh my god.
It was so hard working with him. Like my first scene with him is when he interrupts my lunch, when I'm having lunch with Rafe, and he's like, you know, sidebar, stat, like code purple, I need to talk to you, kind of thing. And I go over and I kind of like And I give him like this stare down, and he goes like, Rafe is not who we think he is. So that was my first scene with him. And when it got to, thankfully, his coverage, so the camera's behind my head here, couldn't keep straight face. And I was like, what's going on? Like, why am I being so unprofessional in this circumstance? But it's just Brian. He's brilliant. And I didn't get to see all of his work on camera, because when he's filming his, his scenes, the phone call conversation, I wasn't there for it. So when I got to see it after, I was like, so good. It's so good. And he's so opposite of what I thought I was going to get in terms of the character of Adam and the description that I read versus what he was. I was like, his audition must have been great, kind of thing. And working with him, absolutely. He was just, he's Adam. It's so good. It's so good.
That's amazing. So like you mentioned, kind of Franco has kind of two characters. So how did you and him like work on the chemistry and differentiating it kind of between the two people that he was playing, if that makes sense?
Yeah, well, Franco, in terms of chemistry, it's so easy to find chemistry with him. He's very like deep-thoughted person, thoughtful, kind. I call him soulful because he's romantic. He's so dedicated, and it's just ease on camera with him. And my issue with him as Ethan was to not, the director said, don't fall for his like gorgeous brown eyes. And I was like, right, a little bit like the reminder I had to have with Olivier that you're not familiar, that I had to put that wall up of the friend zone with him as Ethan. And I think because I'm an empathetic person as well, that when he was, the faces that he would pull as Ethan, I would sort of start to like emulate too, being, wanting to comfort him in his sort of turmoil and his confusion, that I wanted to comfort him. And the director would be like, no, don't fall those brown eyes, don't fall for it. I'm like, right, yes, wall. Different challenges with each movie this year and each co-star. So for that, yeah, there had to be kind of a front up, that a naivety that I had to play as well, that I didn't read his like the stares and like the looks that he would give me, that they didn't register to me.
Yeah,
so it's a challenge.
Yeah, I think all of us can understand that would be a challenge to like step out of it, not be just like lost in his beauty.
Like his eyes literally read like 1,000 words as well, and so he's such a lovely human that when I got to go scenes with Rafe, it's like everything I didn't get to do with you as Ethan, I'm doing now.
There you go. Okay, because it's still the same eyes.
Yes, I got to have my outlet. I got to have my my moments with falling for Franco's gorgeous brown eyes.
Yeah,
because Anne and I were chatting while we watched this, and we're just like, what? How could she friend zone this beautiful man?
My brother watched it and he was like, how could you? And I was like, it's the role, okay? Not out of choice. Because he's like, oh, Franco is just like, oh, his vulnerability. It's like, how could you overlook him? I'm like, it's the character, okay? It's not me.
But I love for the conflict. I really liked how the writer did it, how she kind of had like your friend kind of say, what I see is a friend who was trying to be there for their friend and help them in their time of need.
Yeah.
Whereas Madison felt more like betrayed and lied to. I appreciated her friend saying that. And then I think somebody else said something, and I was like, and it helped, Madison, I think, reflect on what he could have, his perception was. And I thought that was just really well handled by the
Yeah, that was good.
I think so. The director and I had discussions, and throughout the film, she has this underlying kind of, I guess what would be on her epitaph is like no lies. And like she'd already had a deceptive boyfriend the year before that had cheated on her. So she had a very strong opinion of dishonesty. And one of like the first thing on her list in terms of boyfriend material was honesty. And so I think how Madison perceives it at first is that it's a measure of, it's just distrustful. Like why, when they have so much history, such a long friendship, would he betray her like that? And it's Annie's character. that Jane that flips the lid and goes, like, you could see it that way, but I saw it as, best friend that wanted so hard to be supportive of you that he stepped up into the shoes.
Mm-hmm.
So it was it all wrapped around together. And even the scene with Tonja when she's having the discussion with me, like mom and daughter scene, the character like Madison goes like, why couldn't you just tell me? And even then she's still blind. Like for me, I saw when I read that line, I'm like, well, he did try and tell you. He tried to tell you numerous times throughout. But it's the blinkered version of Madison that I had to play, that it was, despite all of the attempts that he'd made, that I just wasn't listening to it or really seeing him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and he says that at the end when he said, I never meant to deceive you. I just, the way that you treated me when I was Rafe, I couldn't, go without that.
Yeah, the look that I gave him as Rafe, he wanted.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it was a really fun ending to that movie with all the candles and everything. Like, it's a fire hazard, but nevertheless, it was very swoon-worthy.
There were multiple hazards. It was me in heels upstairs. Like that could have ended really badly. It was, and it's so funny. I was sort of okay on the stairs until they did the shot of my feet coming down, and then you overthink everything, and I'm like, what, wobbly ankles and stuff like that. But
that was a dress. I mean,
I remember I tried that in fitting, and I think it had been in their storage for a while. Like Brain Power, the company, that the costume team, Kenda Hogan and Jesse Manners, they are just like, so good at styling, and they've worked with me since 2018, so they know what my sizing is pretty much. And so I just show up, and they were just putting outfits together, and they'll pick pieces, out along the way if they're in a store, and they're like, that could work. And so they go for very like sleek. They're not afraid of form fitting, because costumes were form fitting in this one. Mm-hmm. And just to show up glam, because sometimes productions can be a little bit more conservative, and you can't have a neckline lower than sort of here. I've worked on productions where such is the case. Like I've worked in flat shoes only because they don't allow heels, or certain necklines. Having your arms exposed isn't necessarily always the case, but Brain Power, they're not afraid to push the limit on that. And it pays off. This product, like the costumes look great. And that dress, it was a disco ball dress.
Yeah.
And the candles look beautiful at the end. I never saw the shot when it pans up from the table, because I was up on the upper balcony kind of hiding out of view, but it did look really romantic in the end. And that's kudos to the director and director of photography, Aldo, working together to make that whole ending what it should be, which is full romance.
It was really good. It's really good. Well, you have a new project coming up, All Aboard for Love.
Yeah,
we're really excited about that. And we saw in the credits, Ish Morris is in this. Is he the lead?
He is my co-star. Yes.
Oh, yay!
We love it.
He's happy for him.
I'm so lucky. I've worked with such lovely people in terms of cast and crew. And he was just, he's just so sweet and funny and generous and easygoing. He's just lovely. They told me beforehand, they're like, oh, Ish Morris, you're gonna love him. And I'm like, I do. It's a good human, good soul, and we'd have like really fun conversations and everything throughout. Few bloopers, I'm sure, along the way. But
he's one of those ones that keeps getting cast as the wrong guy or the other guy. Yeah. So we're so happy for him. Yes.
Good.
we kind of know roughly how the end result, but how we get that kind of thing. That's
yeah.
So are you on a cruise ship or something? I know you can't tell us much, but
snippets of it is that it is set in a marina. So I was filming up in slightly northern Ontario, on the Georgian Bay. So we had some days where I got to lounge in a boat for about 3 hours, being like, I got sunburnt, but I got to like lie in a speedboat like this, being driven around by the executive producers, stepson, and I was like, oh, I can deal with this. I can deal with this. Yeah, this is great. This is great. So I do get a little bit of boat time, but not too much. But there's I was playing like what we say in England is baggies, and I guess it's like shotgun here. You're like shotgun this kind of thing. I would be like baggy that. Oh, I'm having that boat kind of thing. I was just walking around, say the marina, being like, oh, I'd have that. It almost made me want to become like, retire on a boat. I was like, I could do that. I could bob around the Caribbean on a boat.
Very fun. Do you know where that one will air or what network it will be on, or?
I'm not entirely sure yet. I know it's still in post-production. They reached out to me when I was just away recently filming, and apparently I don't have to do any ADR, which is voiceover, which is huge kudos to the sound engineer, Bobby Charters, because we were dealing with wind and heavy trucks coming in and out of a marina and the creaking of boats, everything you could think. We have a running joke with Bobby. I'm like, I'll see you in ADR kind of thing, because like you either love it or you hate it. And I kind of have a love and hate relationship with doing voiceover back after the fact. So we could just kept joking. He was like, no. And apparently I don't have to do any ADR. And Ish only had to do like 7 lines. So I was like, wow.
That's good.
That is surprising. Yeah. Cause usually by the ocean, it's so loud.
Yeah. We had some heavy trucks and stuff because they were winterizing some of the boats too, like pulling them out of the marina and then, sort of tarping them up for the year as well. And we had some big trucks in the background at times, and no, nothing had to be replaced. So I was like,
oh, cool. That's good.
Well, we know you probably can't say anything. Is there any 2023 projects that you can tease or tell us about besides that one, I guess?
I did just finish 3 days ago a production that's coming out on a certain special date in February.
Yeah.
Okay. We look forward to it.
That one, and that was again immensely fun. I was filming in Ottawa for that. I was gone for about 3.5 weeks for that one, so just got back, and it's gonna be really cute. I ironically worked with the director Stefan Brogren, who used to be on Degrassi for years, and he was actually the first director to cast me on a TV show 7-8 years ago. And I played a waitress working in a diner. I had like 3 lines. I was really nervous, and I was fresh out of theater school. And I remember doing the lines, and he gave me, because theater actors, you tend to endow the words with so much significance, because that's what you do with Shakespeare. There's lexicons, there's literally entire languages of double entendres, things like that within the script itself. And so I was endowing it with all this work because I was supposed to play this character that is a mystery. And I'm like, oh, I've seen that character. Yeah, she was here the other day. And so I'm giving them information along the way. And I guess I put so much into this that his direction to me was just throw it away. And to an actor, you're like, throw it away. Like, I've done so much work on this. And as a fresh newbie out of theater school as well, a rookie on the set, I remember kind of being very overwhelmed and going like, throw it away. But I did. And then we had the show. And then roll forward 8 years later, we were reunited in my fitting. And you actually cast me in a TV show like years ago. And now it had come full circle. And there's also a little scene in a diner that we filmed on, I think, day 2 and 3 of this production. And Steph and I just kept saying to each other, I was like, full circle. I started as a diner waitress, and now I'm the lead in a movie that has a big sequence in a diner. I was like, whoa. It was the irony. It was poetic, really.
Yeah. So was this one so how did you get this role for, are you on sort of their map now with?
Was based on, as I understand it, because I'm not entirely aware of how it works in terms of like the producer world yet.
Yeah.
I am apparently on a list.
Yes.
So I'm so grateful. Thank you, Hallmark.
We're so glad you made the list. That's great.
I'm apparently, on a list. So it came through as an offer, and it was pretty quick. Like, I think I got the offer on a Thursday, and I was flying to Ottawa the following Wednesday.
Wow.
Okay,
and then the following Monday. So it was the shortest time span I've had to learn a script. But again, so grateful to them. But apparently I'm on a list.
Yes. And I would love to see that list.
Yeah, me too.
I think basically producers go like, them and them. That's good. Kind of thing. I think that's what worked with Steve Lund and I. And
yeah.
So I'm very, very, very lucky in that way.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Last time you were on the podcast with Olivier, we did the holiday fun questions. So now we get to, it's kind of reverse of most people. Now we're going to give you our regular, normal fun questions.
Oh, perfect. So. Not festive themed.
So the first one is, what is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Favorite ice cream flavor? Okay, chocolate all the way, but I do like me some strawberry too. So they, like Neapolitan.
Okay.
Because you get the strawberry, the chocolate, and vanilla. Vanilla is like me, but strawberry and chocolate, absolutely.
All right. What's your favorite color?
I like the scale from green to purples. Teal blue, I think, is one of my favorites, but sadly, aside from now, I usually wear black day to day, but in terms of clothing or colors that I always appreciate, is like the blue of a sky or an ocean, or teal. Yeah, teal blue, I think.
Yeah, good.
So what music are you into right now?
Oh, right now. Okay, well, I live in the past, apparently. I love 80s music. So I will pretty much be listening to Prince, or Billy Ocean is one of my favorites, or like Shaka Khan. I really grew up listening to that kind of music. It's my dad's favorite music, and I just love the beats of 80s. So for modern artists, I like The Weeknd, because I feel that his latest albums especially have like synthesizers, and they have very 80s kind of feel to them. Mm-hmm. So 80s, so that's my era.
Cool.
What is your go-to date night food?
Food. Italian. I love Italian food.
Me too.
All encompassing Italian.
Yes, my husband and I love Italian. That's a good.
So delicious. I love Italy as well. And of course, Italian food in Italy is completely different from what you get in North America. But that's dream, like, move to Italy or have some work that takes me over there. Please put that and manifest that into the universe.
being in these movies, you have a pretty good chance. There was like a dozen Italy movies last year.
Please.
It's like, what is the Italian tourist for?
Yeah.
Hallmark. There were between Hallmark and Netflix, there were probably there were so many that were either set in an Italian restaurant or in Italy.
Yes, there was the name is escaping me, but the actress in it, her name is Kat. And my best friend sent it to me. She said, "You could have done this role." And the Kat that had it. But I was like, "Oh my God, she even has my name." And I love that we had similar maybe background, like
Love in the Villa. You talking about? I think.
I see the movie poster, but just the name is escaping my brain right now.
Yeah, that was on Netflix.
Yes, it was on Netflix.
Yeah, with Kat Graham.
That's it.
For some reason, I was like, what's her last name? But yeah, with Cat Crab.
Join the club.
Yes.
have amnesia right now.
So what is your go-to date night activity if you're going to go do something?
Oh, probably dinner out, dinner in a movie maybe, or with my dogs. Like I have my dogs, so I love to like go on walks and stuff. Yeah, I had to really think about that one. Probably dinner out.
You can't go wrong with that. Well, this one, I guess maybe you just answered. Dogs or cats?
I don't know. I know my nickname is Cat, and I appreciate them, but they don't like me for some reason. Like I've got like scars on my hands from like we had a little cat when I was little, and I was playing with string and he like jumped and scratched my hand. So that aside, cats just, they know I'm a dog person, and so they just sort of go, oh.
Well, that's the thing with cats is you have to earn their love.
Yeah, I think
or
they're
the dogs
and majestic, and I love big cats. Like, lions, jaguars, tigers, things like that. I love big cats, but my inclination is always to the dogs. I have two myself, so my dogs are the best.
Which do you like better, beaches or mountains?
Oh, okay, it's tough because I went to Nova Scotia this year on a road trip with my dogs, of course, and I had beaches, I had ocean, I went to Prince Edward Island. It's stunning, but I grew up with mountains in British Columbia, so that's really tough. But I think I edge towards beaches because I feel I like to be near water, but I do appreciate mountains so much as well. I live in Canada, like we've got some good mountain ranges up here, but I think water, like I live in Toronto, I live close to Lake Ontario, I can see it from my home and stuff, so I think beaches.
Yeah, that's the thing about Canada is you really have a lot of access to both, so you get the best of both worlds, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fancy dress or sweats?
Fancy dress or sweats? Okay. Sweats.
I know. Who can resist, especially in this age? I mean,
because I used to work in hospitality for years, and in the restaurant field and the venues that I worked in, there was always a dress code for clients, and so I had to dress up to the dress code, and so I had like a wardrobe full of like beautiful clothes and stuff that I just don't wear anymore because I'm not in that field any longer, and I actually ended up donating them to a production company because I'm like, they're too beautiful that, at least if I give them to the production company, there's a chance that they might have a new life and so forth moving forward.
That's
but
nice.
Sweatpants, absolutely sweatpants. On a man though, fancy, like a suit.
The man needs to be fancy, but you could be in sweatpants. I hear you.
Yeah, I'll be sweatpants. He could be a suit. There you go.
Yeah, like Olivier in the tux.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Where I was filming him do like James Bond kind of thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, of course, Ollie, like you got to do this. But no, he did. He brushes up good.
Yeah,
he's a good looking man. So.
So, what is your favorite holiday to celebrate?
Holiday to celebrate? It would be Christmas. Yeah, definitely. It's festive, and it's time to reconnect and slow down as well over the Christmas break.
So being in all these Christmas movies, it doesn't burn you out at all of Christmas?
No, I think sometimes maybe there can be a fatigue within the industry if it's like film after film after film. I don't have that fatigue. I think I love every production I work on. Whenever we show up and the set's been kind of decorated, even if it's the middle of July, like in Santa's Got Style, I'm like, this is magic, guys. Like, I love the big fake snow machines and stuff like that. No, I don't feel I could ever have enough of it. Bring it on.
Yay!
And the next one,
you were in the right field then.
There were lots of hearts, without giving too much away. Lots of hearts.
For your next one? Okay.
Yes. They gave me some earmuffs to take home with me. I should have brought them for the interview, the little earmuffs that I could take home. And that was just amazing walking onto the set and seeing how the production designer, Shane Boucher, was just like, everywhere was hearts.
Thank you.
Stuff.
Yeah.
I always think about the set, the set designers, and like so much work goes into them decorating these sets to look so beautiful, for the background or just the input, the scene.
We've never interviewed as a production designer or set designer. I would love to one of these days.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
There's so many hats, and it's a huge load in and a huge load out. And that's the thing that a lot of people forget, because, maybe my face is on the poster, but I can't do my job if I don't have an incredible team behind me. And that includes people that are like the location scouts that go and choose the locations, and like those that go in and do the set decorations. I show up, I go hair, makeup, wardrobe, do my work, and then I go home. But they are the ones that are loading out, loading in. Everyone from the drivers, the transport, they're the cogs and the wheels that keep a production going. So every single person is integral to the final product. And I don't think there's quite enough gratitude put back on the crew and production that do it, because I would not be able to organize anything myself, and assistant directors, your costume. I need to have, the reason there's entire teams is because they'll be like, okay, we're going to send you to set. And I walk out of my trailer like, la, la, la. Meanwhile, I've forgotten my shoes. I've forgotten my coat. And so like, the on set, like trailer costume assistant will be going in after and be like, send her the coat, send her shoes to set. And I'm like, oh, I think I forgot my shoes, because I'm a ditz at times. And they'll be like, no, you didn't. They're right there. I'm like, oh, perfect. But there's a reason that you have them, is because we can't do our job without their support.
And we really felt that during quarantine, because it wasn't just of course the actors, directors that are without work, but you've got casting, you've got just, so many layers that were all affected, and you really realized that when everything was shut down, and you were like, oh my gosh, this affects so many people.
And it was in Canada, I'm not sure in the States, some of the first industries to return were films. They really worked, production houses themselves really worked to make sure that they had safety on set, that they've got medics on site, that everyone is tested, that for the first few projects that people are sequestered away, that you're for Christmas on 5th, like we were up in a hotel, and it was still pretty strict lockdown of up in Ontario in Canada. And so we would kind of go to set to the hotel, and then on the weekends they would just sort of say like, please be careful, and I myself, I don't really, when I'm working, I'm not going out anyways, so I'm sequestering myself away, just hanging out with my dogs. But yeah, the sets that they worked so hard to get them secure again, because it's a huge part of the industry in Canada. So for us to be able to return, and for people to be able to continue to provide for their families and so forth, it's really important.
Yeah. Well, the last question is, what is your favorite TV rom-com, one that you can be one of your own, or just romantic movie? What's your favorite?
Oh, okay. It goes back to my Italian thing as well. Have you ever seen Only You? Marissa Tomei and Robert Downey Jr. That is my favorite. And it's very much along the same lines of someone playing a ruse and pretending there to be someone else. And I mean, of course, the settings, like they're Venice, Rome, Amalfi Coast, like Positano. I'm like, it was my favorite for a long time growing up and everything. I thought she was beautiful, Marissa Tomei.
Yeah.
And
good one.
Kind of their version of Roman Holiday. That's why her hair was short in that, because of Audrey Hepburn influence and stuff. So
I'll have to watch that. Yeah.
That's why her hair was cut short, was to kind of reflect Roman Holiday with Audrey Hepburn. And that's why they even have a scene when they go to the Mouth of Truth, I believe it's called. I've seen it in Rome myself. Very lucky. I've traveled to Rome, so I've seen it myself. And they have that scene because Gregory Peck and Audrey Hepburn have a very similar kind of sequence as well around that. So it kind of is playing back to Roman holiday.
Well, very good. You answered all the questions again.
What's my prize? Joking.
Well, thank you so much. This was a delight to talk with you, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me back, and again for your continued support. And hopefully I'll get to see you guys again sometime in the future.
Yes, we definitely have to do that. And do you have social media you want to share?
Oh, sure. My Instagram is it's _Kathryn_Davis. So it's THE_KATHRYN_Davis DAVIS. And my website is KathrynDavisOfficial.com.
Very good. We'll have all that in the description, and hope you have a very, very Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Same to you. All the best. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of the Christmas premieres of the various production houses too.
Yeah. And so do you care if we get a quick we'd like to thank Kathryn for coming on the podcast. This was so much fun to get to talk with her, and let us know what you think about all the different things that we talked about. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. And where can people follow you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at awscott21.
Great. And you can follow the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media, except for not Facebook. It's still down. It may never come back. So sorry about that. But you can find us on most other social medias. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps us a lot. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate that. And then we also have the Patreon group, which is really fun. We have patron watch-alongs and other activities. And then we have the merch store where you can get tons of fun Hallmarkies inspired merch. So check that out. We really appreciate it. And thanks again to Kathryn, and we'll talk to y'all later. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.